Governor Ivey, distinguished guests, my fellow Alabamians. In 2011, a group of Republican attorneys general banded together to battle what they believed was the greatest federal overreach of their time, Obamacare. They called themselves the last line of defense against an out-of-control federal government, a description that now defines the duties of a conservative attorney general. When I consider the weightiness of being your last line of defense, two military illustrations come to mind. The Roman army was one of the most powerful and masterful armies the world has ever seen. Its legions were the backbone of the Roman Empire. And in Roman warfare, the triarii were the legion's last line of defense. They were the veteran soldiers with the very best equipment. They were the legion's last available line. If the triarii were called upon, it was a sign that the decisive moment in battle had come. In World War II, the Rhine River was known to be Germany's last line of defense against invasion from the West. To finish off the Nazis, the Allied troops needed to cross in and secure that portion of German land. But no invading army had been able to cross since Napoleon in 1805. Yet on the night of March 22nd of 1945, General George S. Patton gathered his troops and he quietly went across, eventually capturing 19,000 demoralized German troops and initiating the Allies' advance into central Germany. Their last line having fallen, the Germans surrendered just a few weeks later. There have been key moments over the last 6 years where I've had to ask myself, what kind of Attorney General was I going to be? One who could be counted on for strength at the time of a decisive moment in battle, or one who would be quietly defeated at the height of conflict. And though I've had the fortune for fighting for you far away from a bloodstained battlefield, there is no doubt in my mind that the Alabama Attorney General's office has been that last line of defense for Alabama in the biggest legal battles of its time. And we have not backed down. Because since I last stood here in January of 2019, we have fought the fights that had to be fought for the people of Alabama. I took on opioids. And with a personal axe to grind, I refused to participate in a nationwide opioid settlement because I wanted to make sure Alabama got what it deserved. Over $300 million that we can now use to combat the pain and suffering that opioids have caused in our state. I have fought for law enforcement and stood with prosecutors and victims as we've addressed the failures that have caused our state to be less safe. I have fought for the fundamental right of Alabamians to make a personal choice about the COVID vaccine and for religious liberty to mean something here, defeating both the Biden administration and greedy corporate interests. I have fought to preserve our election laws and our congressional maps against those who would ask us to delegate that sovereignty to a federal court. And I have fought for life alongside Mississippi and the United States Supreme Court. And the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade will remain one of my proudest accomplishments. And I'm fighting the far-left gender ideology of the Biden administration to defend our law prohibiting dangerous experimentation on our children that's being challenged by the United States Department of Justice. And frankly, Merrick Garland needs to pack up and get out of here. These are some of the many victories that we celebrate. But we know that the war rages on across our nation to subvert our traditions and our values. Those targets including our children, our schools, our families, our communities, and our governments. If we are to win this fight and to preserve everything that Alabama holds so dear, we can't sit back and rest on our defenses. We must have a united front line that's advancing our cause, not just defending it. And that front line is you. Because in our Republican government, it's the people who hold the power. The officers of our government answer to you, and they have only one and only one duty. That is to serve your will, the will of the people. In 1932, Alabama emblazoned her coat of arms with these words, which were adopted as our state motto. Audamus jure nostro defendere. Latin for, we dare defend our rights. As your Attorney General, as your last line, that motto has been my directive. My hope is that you will join me and make it your motto too. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to serve.